Welcome to Rowdy Rants. I'm Rowdy. Thank you for coming. Needless to say, I'm going to be doing a little editorializing on the Biden speech where he decides he's going to stick it to Donald Trump and MAGA. I'm going to go ahead and expound on some of that once again, and as always, I'd like to thank anybody and everybody for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do that at www.buymeacoffee.com/rowdyrants. Now let's get down into it. Now for a backdrop, we are at the location where the Declaration of Independence was written, and we have Mumbles and Jill Biden approaching the stand. We have a red backdrop and lighting, most likely with brick, but now I'm telling you, this reminds me so much of the game Wolfenstein or Doom. We'll be speeding our way past a lot of this simply because Mumbles just rambles on, and that way we're not sitting here watching a lot of commentary that doesn't matter. Right now I'm pointing out the darkening of the scenery. When I looked at this the first time, all I could think of was he's got military in the background, which he said he did that to honor them. I don't see how it honors them, putting them in the dark.
But first, we must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal.
No shit, it's not normal. It hasn't been normal for a long time, Joe. From government trying to kick people out of their jobs, to the government trying to turn parents that are concerned about what's going on in school into domestic terrorists, 87,000 IRS agents to be hired, drug and human trafficking spiking at the southern border due to your policies.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology.
Extreme ideology? Has anybody told him that MAGA stands for Make America Great Again? The ideology, Joe, is America First. You want to tell me what's wrong with that?
I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country.
Drug and human trafficking at the southern border in record numbers is not a threat, right? I mean, nobody's really worried about that. Crime on the rise in all major cities, that's not a threat. Politicians saying they don't know why there aren't more protests. Democrat politicians, that's not a threat. I don't know, protesters trying to burn down courthouses, that's not a threat. Reporters on scene at protests turned violent, saying it's a mostly peaceful protest with buildings on fire in the background, that's not a threat. Got it.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election. And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself.
Joe, let's set the clocks back to August 21st, 2021. That's when the Pelosi PAC and the House of Representatives passed legislation that would federalize state elections. Yeah, federalize. It would put states under the thumb of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia or the Department of Justice, mind you, these are both bureaucrats, okay? And the way this would be working is they could consider a state with a voter ID law, by definition, guilty of voter discrimination and pull them under federal policy. And you can bet that's exactly what the Democrats would have done. Additionally, when you're looking at something like this, federalizing the elections, it would eliminate common sense voter ID. I want you to think about something. What can you do without identification? The only thing you can do is vote, and that's one of the most important things that we can do in the United States. Free and fair elections are run with rules, and if you can't guarantee the integrity of an election with something like voter ID, there's no way you can say that it is a fair election. It puts bureaucrats in control of elections over states. So the voice of the people is completely undermined. The people can be all for voter ID. Voter ID is perfectly legal, and the Department of Justice and the District Court of Columbia would basically have veto power over the state. And these are bureaucrats. These people are not elected, they're appointed. So now tell me, Joe, what partisans are trying to take over elections? And for the record, Joe, on January the 6th, 2017, Democrats in the House of Representatives objected to the votes from 10 different states in the instance of the election of Donald Trump. You were there counting the votes.
And this is a nation that rejects violence as a political tool. We do not encourage violence.
Maxine Waters telling protesters, get in their face. Politicians supporting, bailing out protesters that were caught in acts of violence, who get out and do it again, like it's a get out of jail free card. How is this right when compared to what you're saying, Joe?
I'm asking our nation to come together, unite behind the single purpose of defending our democracy regardless of your ideology. We're all called by duty and conscience to confront extremists who put their...
Your ideology seems to support the FBI treating parents arguing with school boards as domestic terrorists, Joe.
On top of that, there are public figures today, yesterday, and the day before predicting and all but calling for mass violence and rioting in the streets. This is inflammatory. It's dangerous. It's against the rule of law. And we, the people, must say, this is not who we are.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be when people...
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
There's violence across the whole country. Do you disavow the violence from Antifa? That's happening in Portland right now? That's
a myth that's being spread only in Washington, D.C.
About Antifa in Portland?
Yes.
Gee, Joe, I guess it's time to clean your own house too, huh?
We can't allow violence to be normalized in this country. It's wrong.
Now, this statement, I'm taking it completely out of context because of the other things that Joe Biden said, but it is the one statement I agree completely with, is violence has become normalized and it is wrong. So this, yes. And here we have more Orange Man bad, MAGA bad.
I know the last few years have been tough, but today, COVID no longer controls our lives. More Americans are working than ever. Businesses are growing. Our schools are open.
COVID never controlled our lives. COVID didn't take away our jobs. Government did. Governments that decided to shut down business. Governments that decided to restrict people to their homes. COVID didn't do that. Government did.
American manufacturers come alive across the heartland, and the future will be made in America. No matter what the white supremacists and the extremists say.
Okay. There's your dog whistle to the squad and the far left. He had to work that white supremacy in there somewhere, I guess. He did mention Charlottesville. Now, what place it has there, who knows? He seems to be, any kind of dissent, anything less than, nodding agreement, then you're either an extremist or a white supremacist. He's the gift that keeps on giving.
I made a bet on you, the American people, and that bet is paying off, proving that from darkness, the darkness of Charlottesville, of COVID, of gun violence, of insurrection, we can see
there it
light.
Is. Charlottesville
light is now visible.
And insurrection.
Light that will guide us forward.
It was predictable.
We're going to end cancer as we know it. Mark my words.
Now, in a sincere moment, making a claim like this, it would be appropriate to bring out experts talking about new breakthroughs and how we're on the verge of actually doing this. Didn't happen. It's just hollow.
We're going to create millions of new jobs in a clean energy economy. We're going to think big. We're going to make the 21st century another American century.
Creating millions of jobs in a clean energy economy. Well, let me tell you, Joe, we're going to need them. By some estimates, as many as 5 million have crossed the southern border into the United States since you entered office.
Because the world needs us to. That's where we need to focus our energy. Not in the past, not on divisive culture wars.
Culture wars, really? And where do these culture wars seem to be coming from, Joe? I mean, we've got teachers that are being told that if there are layoffs, white people are out first. We've got biological men dominating women's sports. This goes on and on and on. You have toxic masculinity being blamed for everything under the sun, to the point that men are just being demonized left, right, and center. The left owns culture war and culture hate. The lighting on this video, I think they've dubbed it Dark Brandon, which is just, that's appropriate. I love the Marines. God love them all. I feel like they were used inappropriately for this speech. In no way am I trying to darken that image, though. I'm also well aware that red, white, and blue are our nation's colors, and by all appearances, so does Joe Biden, and he made it as dark as he could. Hence, Dark Brandon. Also, by now, President Biden has tried to walk back, saying he wasn't speaking about all of MAGA. Is the guy really that clueless that he thought MAGA was only people at the rally or only people supporting the trespassers? Hasn't anybody clued him in on the fact that MAGA is a nationwide movement? This speech, in the end, it did a lot more damage than good. You can pretty well say that this speech was not something to bring people together, no matter how they claim it. The first thing and the main point was to divide MAGA from everyone else and to downtrod them. That's pretty much it. Now, if you'd like to support the channel, once again, you can support me at www.buymeacoffee.com/RowdyRants. I have an email address below. If you'd like to send me an email, feel free to comment and like, subscribe. My name's Rowdy. This is my rant. I hope all of you have a great day.